Welcome to Season 3 of Playing Around Wisconsin. By now, returning viewers know the goal: to play every single public golf course in the state of Wisconsin and share it with you. For those of you new to the channel, welcome to the journey. There will be lows, highs, great people, and most importantly, great golf courses. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this next stop as we play around Wisconsin. Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Playing Around Wisconsin. Our eagle-eyed viewers recognize this gentleman to my right. Say hi.
Hello.
There he is. All right, so we're at Songbird Hills in Heartland, Wisconsin, right on Highway 164, a very busy thoroughfare in Waukesha County. My first time here, his second time here, well, first in a long time. So it's going to be a new experience for the both of us, and we're very excited to have some fun. So let's follow along. Hope you enjoy the video, and let's rock and roll.
Let's have fun.
Yes. One thing that stands out immediately about Songbird Hills is that it's not a particularly long golf course, at only 5,500, just a touch short of 5,600 yards from the back tees. But each one of the carts has a hole-by-hole guide that really indicates the unique, quirky nature of this golf course. And no better hole to indicate that quirky nature than the first at Songbird Hills. For beginners, having a completely blind green from the tee and potentially your approach shot, you really have to understand what you're hitting into and where you're trying to aim. Both Dad and I found ourselves on the right side of the fairway, not very far off in both of our regards, so we had to punch ourselves back into play. From there, it's a downhill shot to a very small green with a ton of protection on the right side. The lack of familiarity, and I would imagine a little bit of rust as well, really hampered our start at Songbird Hills. Hard to really rationalize a lot of excuses after playing so much golf in the calendar year, but a hole like this will come back to bite you if you don't execute properly, or just if you don't know what you're doing. So a slow start for both of us mercifully comes to an end as we carry on. The second hole at Songbird Hills butts right up against the Bark River. The hole itself slopes from right to left towards the river, and with the tree line coming into play as much as it does on the right side, it's really imperative that you find the fairway if you want to increase your chances for success on this hole. The second hole, like many of the holes at Songbird Hills, features a very small green as well that is a lot more deep than it is wide, and that really isn't saying a whole heck of a lot in the grand scheme of things. But just something to keep in mind is that this one has a ton of slope to it going from the back to the front. Not the most efficient hole for Tom or myself, but I'm happy to roll in a par putt at this length or any length, so
Nice one.
no complaints. Moving on to hole number 3. And the third hole is a par 3. Downhill, blind green from the white and blue tee boxes. Tom went back to the blues to play with me on this one, and I really like this hole. Pick a target, know where you're aiming at, and really swing with some confidence. I know a big problem I've had this year with consistency is really committing to a shot, committing to a plan, committing to a strategy, committing to anything. It's a lack of commitment and a lack of confidence that really throws a wrench in my game. So, if that's me and giving you advice, just commit to something, especially with those blind shots like you get on the third hole at Songbird Hills. The fourth hole at Songbird Hills is a short par 4 that makes you hit a tee shot through a fairly narrow window and stays pretty narrow on the right side of the hole throughout. Whether it's the left or the right side, there's not a lot of room to miss on this hole, so keep in mind your club choice off the tee, and if you think you can reach it, by all means give it a whirl, but like most of the greens on this course, as mentioned before, they are very small. So high risk, high reward in that regard. Just make an intelligent choice off the tee is my best recommendation. Tough little hop there. Another green with some back to front slope to it. You can see the second green just a handful of yards off to the left of the 4th green. So also know what target you're hitting at. Don't get confused when some of these holes get a little close together. Sandwiched in after the 4th hole is the 5th hole. That's typically how things work, right? The 2nd hole runs parallel to the 5th hole on the right side, and a miss on the right is nothing but trouble. The tree line on the left side of the hole was pretty pronounced and pretty strong, and acted as a bit of a subconscious deterrent, setting up a weak miss off the tee on the right. Blind greens are typically more difficult ones to hold with an approach shot, and this one proved to be pretty difficult for both Dad and I. A miss deep on this green and to the left could be very, very troublesome, so you really want to be as accurate as you can on this hole, period. And most holes at Songbird Hills as well, especially on this front 9. So for a hole that reads 295 yards off its back tees, this hole is a lot more difficult than you might originally think. Thankfully, the 6th hole opens up just a little bit. A dogleg left with everything sloping down the hill once you reach that dogleg. But no matter if you try to cut the dogleg or just play it down the middle to begin, you should have a fairly wide landing area, especially in comparison to the last couple of holes. So swing confidently off the tee should put you hopefully in a decent position to attack the green. And I think attack is the operative word here. My first time at Songbird Hills, playing a little defensively on a handful of holes and a handful of swings, which I suppose makes sense anybody's first time playing a golf course. But attacking this hole should reap some benefits, and, well, in my case, I didn't make a birdie putt here, but a good hole nevertheless. So pick your battles at Songbird Hills, attack certain holes, play safely on the other ones. Should put you in a position to walk home with a score you're not too disappointed in. The 7th hole is a great par 3. Down the hill, over the water with the fountain, and to a fairly small green. This one is a really fun hole.
Skip.
T-Bone couldn't quite clear the water, unfortunately, but thankfully he has about 1 million golf balls at home, so it's not the end of the world if he winds up losing 1 or 2 from time to time. Another green with a ton of back to front slope, so make sure you're hitting enough club to get the ball to the hole. Good putt from T-Bone, giving it a run. Left my birdie putt short, but a tap in par. Again, not a whole lot to complain about in that regard. Following that up is another opportunity to be aggressive on a par 4. Only about 330 yards from the blue or the white tees. Definitely not a lot of hole here. And everything on the right, outside of some tall, larger trees, is open. So if you get a little squirrely like somebody I know wearing a yellow vest, you should be okay on the right side for the most part. Just make sure you have a window. So anyways, aggressive opportunities on this course aren't as often as you might otherwise hope. So be aggressive off the tee, and keep in mind too with your approach shot that I found out clearly on that chip, this green has a ton of slope from right to left and back to front. Just watch this putt race by the hole for Tom. I don't know if this camera does the slope any sort of justice, but this green is a toughie. So aggressive off the tee, assertive with your second shot, just know where the green's sloping, and you should hopefully keep yourself in play. The 9th hole reminds me a lot of a par 5 that you might see at Blackhawk Country Club in Madison, or actually gives me some vibes to Skyline Golf Club up in Black River Falls. You can check out that video in Season 2. But, moving on. This is a big par 5, and something that really stands out at Songbird Hills are the par 5s in comparison to the rest of the golf course. With a well-struck tee shot, I thankfully found the fairway. You're still going to be in a position where laying up is potentially the wise choice. There's water that kind of leaks into play on the left and right side of the greens if you do try to get aggressive, and you might mishit the ball. So I
You
thought
did.
the intelligent play was to lay up
Sit.
and put myself in a position where I could
Stop.
confidently hit a wedge to somewhat a fairly close position. From where T-Bone was coming in from, just off the green on the left side, you can see how much this green moves. Disappointing miss on a short birdie putt, but again, hard to complain about pars. Another beastly par 5 at 573 yards. I really do think that this hole particularly reminds me of some of those par 5s at Black Hawk and Madison, for those of you who are familiar. A hole this long, you're going to need as many yards as you can get. So driver off the tee, aggressive with your second shot. It does open up as the hole progresses. So keep that in mind. That's the one blessing on this hole. It's a lot of golf hole, but there's not a ton of trouble for the last 3/4 of the hole. And that being said, not a ton of trouble. You can spray it around quite a bit, but also there is one magnet, I suppose, of a bunker that I found and had to hit out of. Hadn't spent a ton of time in the sand in 2025, but just watch where this ball starts and where it winds up. There is a huge shelf on the back of this green, and had I kept the camera running a lot longer, you would have seen that ball just trickle all the way back down the hill. So Dad watching that happen and me watching that happen, we both knew we had to give that putt a whole lot to get it up to the cup. A tough par 5 on an otherwise fairly short golf course. The 11th hole is a par 3 that acts as one of those holes at Songbird Hills that you can really get aggressive and assertive on. Especially after that 10th hole, that par 5, you need an opportunity to try to potentially get some of those lumps you just took back. So, think 3 on this hole. If nothing else, walking away with a 4 can, well, keep your scorecard a little bit cleaner than otherwise. So be aggressive. It's a green that's not protected by much, and on the left side does really slope away from where I was coming from. Not a well-struck birdie putt, but thankfully, watch this par putt drop.
Offered it.
The 12th hole is a dogleg right with out of bounds on the right side of the hole. Don't let that be an intimidating factor for you, as the entire left side is essentially wide open spaces. A miss too far left, of course, would put you way too far away from this, again, dogleg right, but any play up the left side should put you in a position to be able to score.
Keep going.
My second shot, which somehow wasn't recorded, I thank you, Dad, for not hitting the right button at that time, clipped the tree branch and got knocked down, so I was left with a pitch shot from about 30 yards away that just kept running and running when it landed on the green. This one has a good amount of slope from left to right, so keep that in mind once you reach the putting surface. The 13th hole is another slight dogleg right with all out of bounds on the right. There's a creek that runs across the fairway at about 180 yards. T-Bone just carried it, ate his Wheaties that morning, and I was aggressive with the 3-wood that I hit so incredibly thin and practically ran up to the putting surface. The front half of the screen is nothing but slope towards the front edge, so keep that in mind. As you can see, there's a lot of slope up the hill and right to left. The only songbird of the day was that tap-in birdie. Tom had a really delicate putt down the hill that barely just missed. He deserved to have one drop, that's for certain. Tricky greens, Songbird Hills. Very tricky. The 14th hole is a sharp dogleg right. You don't need a ton of club off the tee in order to put the ball into play. A miss left opens up the entirety of the hole like Dad did, and a miss right, thankfully keeping it barely in play with all the red stakes on the right, kept myself in a position where I could get aggressive towards the green. Similarly to the par 5s on the front 9, well, the one par 5 on the front 9 and the 10th hole here, It is a difficult green to go for in 2, especially if you don't have enough club off the tee. Be mindful of what it is that you're doing and where you're hitting as well. With this huge dip between the fairway and the green will leave you not a very easy shot to, again, a really, really small green. So overall, generally speaking, 3-shot par 5s all over the golf course at Songbird Hills. No need to get too aggressive out there, even if you're feeling confident. T-Bone decided to take a couple of pictures of me instead of recording my 3-wood swing. No problem, Dad. Love ya. But this is a hole that is risk-reward all day. It's a dogleg to the right with nothing but trouble on the right side of the fairway, and if you miss by too much on the left, you are really putting yourself in jail, needing a punch shot, some sort of rescue to get yourself back into play. So, wise decisions off the tee will dictate your chances of success on this hole. I was able to cut the dogleg just a little bit, missed short with my approach shot, and missed short with a birdie putt. So, unfortunately, no other birdies on the day, and Tom burning another lip, just missing another well-struck putt. The 16th is a tough par 3. At 189 yards from the blue tees, it does play on the longer side of things, especially in comparison to the other par 3s at Songbird Hills. The tee boxes are extremely narrow on this hole, and the cart path bisects it on the right and the left sides. With the trees on the right and kind of a blind area on the left, it doesn't look like you have a lot of room to miss this green. Just keep in mind, in this left, as long as you're carrying the ball far enough to clear the junk on the left and short, should be an okay miss. A miss on the right is going to be messing with the tree branch, really screwing everything up. So, green all day, just know a miss to the left is not absolutely fatal. The 17th hole is the second of back-to-back par 3s, going from a longer to a significantly shorter hole. This is really simply a wedge, throw it up to the green, and hopefully it lands on the putting surface. We have ourselves a fairly narrow green, going thin from front to back, and a ton of slope from front to back as well. A miss deep, you really have to be delicate, and good luck keeping the ball above the hole there. Not that you'd really want to anyways leave yourself a downhill putt, especially for par. So, don't be too fooled. This is a tougher par 3, especially if you miss the green, and heaven forbid you miss way short, you're going to have a very, very difficult uphill pitch shot. So, green all day if you can on 17. The 18th hole at Songbird Hills is a very solid finishing hole. A soft dogleg left, it has internal out of bounds on the right-hand side of the hole, which, ironically enough, is the first hole. So don't miss to the right, following your local rules that'll force you to re-tee. Thankfully, I was not in the junk, and by junk I mean the other hole, so had an approach shot to a kidney bean-shaped green. Not a lot of... Otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward hole. Par 4, not terribly long, and a green, kidney bean shaped, that has essentially a slope that matches the shape of the green. That left to right from front to back, or right to left from back to front, depending on your perspective on the hole. Leaving another birdie putt short, happy to tap in for par. T-Bone deserved to get this one in. I don't know how it missed, but you know what? Made putts, missed putts, none of that matters. That's, right there, all that matters. Getting around in with my dad always is a special thing. And especially, too, to be able to experience something essentially brand new to both of us. It was a fantastic day to get out, play someplace that was unique to us, and someplace we'd actually really like to go back to. With the abundance of golf courses in the greater Milwaukee area, Songbird Hills is there for you to experience with your dad, your mom, your cousin, your friend. Doesn't matter, get out there and check it out yourself. Thanks for watching another episode of Playing Around Wisconsin. You know what to do with those social medias, and we'll see you next time.